seekers. Welcome to Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living. My name is Cherie Soria, and we're here today at Living Light Culinary Arts Institute to share with you one of our favorite recipes.
As an author, chef, and founder-director of the renowned Living Light Culinary Arts Institute, Cherie Soria is often regarded as the mother of raw food gourmet cuisine. She has helped instruct and certify hundreds of raw food chefs through Living Light, including world-famous Chef Roxanne Klein, Chef Chad Sarno, and Chef Elaina Love. A vegetarian for over 4 decades and well accomplished with numerous awards, Ms. Cherie Soria shares in an interview what she finds most gratifying. She said, "My devotion to teaching vegetarian foods for 35 years has saved the lives of countless innocent animals, and that dwarfs any of my other accomplishments." On our most recent episodes, we visited Eric Schramm at Mendocino Mushrooms, North America's oldest wild mushroom company. We learned some secrets about mushroom picking and harvested wonderfully fresh baby porcini mushrooms. And now, Cherie is going to show us how to transform them into an exquisite dish of raw culinary perfection.
Here with me is Martine Lucier, and Martine is our culinary programs manager here at Living Light. We're going to be sharing with you a great recipe that we love. It's called Linguini Parody with Truffle Cream. And our Linguini Parody is made with some wonderful porcini mushrooms and sea vegetables. We harvested some porcini mushrooms, and so we're going to talk about those and show you how to use them, as well as how to use some sea vegetables fresh from the Mendocino coast. Now, first of all, you may be aware of the fact that porcini mushrooms are very expensive when you buy them fresh, but they are available almost anywhere in the world dehydrated. And so if you buy them dehydrated, then of course all you have to do is add water and they plump up almost like fresh. But we're going to show you the fresh ones as well as the dehydrated ones right now and show you how to use them both. So right over here you can see our baby porcini mushrooms that we gathered earlier on our mushroom hunt, which was a lot of fun. And this is what they look like. If I pop the stem off, you'll see how young and fresh and wonderful they are inside. And if I slice them in half, you can see how clean and beautiful they are. By the way, the stems are perfect just the way they are. They don't need, you don't want to discard this stem. It's absolutely beautiful. These are some full-grown, dehydrated porcini mushrooms that were gathered here locally on the Mendocino coast. And just to show you the size of one of the stems, this is the stem, and this would be the top. And you can imagine how big this was before it was dehydrated, considering that mushrooms are almost all water. So this was a gigantic king bolete, or porcini mushroom. Bolete is the American word for it, although most other places in the world they're called porcinis. And that is what we're using today, because that's more than likely the way you are going to be using your porcini mushrooms. They're probably going to be dehydrated. So the first thing that you want to do with this recipe is to soak your dried porcini mushrooms as well as your dried sea vegetables, and it would really take us about an hour to soak them. So they've already been soaked for us, and we have retained the water. You never want to throw away your soaking water, because this is absolutely delicious. It's like a mushroom liqueur. It's just full of flavor and trace minerals. Now, the other thing that we have to do right from the beginning is to fluff up or expand and hydrate our sea vegetables. This is what the sea vegetables look like when we harvested on the Mendocino coast. This is wakame. Isn't this a beautiful leaf? They're absolutely huge leaves. Look at this. Isn't this wonderful? And sea vegetables are so health promoting. They're just filled with vitamins and trace minerals and things that you really can't get in land vegetables. So I highly recommend that you eat some sea vegetables every day. It's a great source of iodine, and many of us just don't get enough iodine in our diet. Believe it or not, this dehydrated wakame is going to look like this in about an hour of soaking. So you do have to soak it for about an hour, so we already have done that for you. But we just need enough to give our linguine parody kind of that fishy taste, because we're calling it linguine parody for a reason. It's a parody of linguine with clam sauce. To give it that kind of fishiness and the texture of clams, we've added instead porcini mushrooms and the sea vegetables. And that really does make it taste and look very much like a regular clam sauce. So I'm going to pass this off to my assistant, Martine, and I'm going to ask her to chop those up for me. And in the meantime, I'm going to start showing you how to create the linguine part of this recipe. This is that beautiful big zucchini that we picked earlier today. One of the great things that you can do with a zucchini that's this size is you can make it into pasta. I'm going to show you a really interesting little gadget that you can do that with. So I'm going to start by cutting it in half and cutting off the end, just like that. And if I want to, I can peel it so that I have I make a linguine that really is very much like a regular linguine. In other words, it's white. Now, truth be told, in my house, I wouldn't think of taking the green part of my zucchini off, because I really do like the green on it, but many people would prefer to have their linguine without green. I love green when it comes to food because it's full of chlorophyll, protein, and calcium, and that's just really does a body good. So I would keep that, and I certainly am not going to throw this away. This is going to go into my juice. Show you some magic, a magic trick here, how to turn this beautiful vegetable into pasta. This is my pasta maker. It's not like a normal pasta maker. I'm not going to be using egg or flour, white flour, anything like that. This is actually called a spiralizer. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to secure this in place, turn it, and I'm going to have pasta coming out the other end. And I'll show you how that works. So I just add it to one side, just like this, and start to turn. So look at that, just like spaghetti now. And you see, just like spaghetti. Now, of course, it's not like spaghetti in that spaghetti is cooked and it's tender. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to tenderize it. And we don't have to cook it to do that. I'm going to set this aside right now because I have some already prepared for you and show you what that looks like. So we have our pasta over here, and just as I told you before, I did not peel this because I really like the green, so this one's not peeled. It's just like uncooked pasta at this point. It doesn't have the mouthfeel, the soft, tender texture of a regular pasta. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put salt on it. And what salt does is it breaks down the cellular structure of the zucchini, softens it, and it allows the moisture that's locked into the cells to flow out. And so right now you see a lot of firm zucchini. You don't see any moisture in the bottom of the bowl. But once we salt it and toss it a little bit, the moisture is going to be released. So here's my salt. And this isn't any ordinary salt. This is a Himalayan crystal salt, simply because I really think that using a good quality salt is important. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tossing the linguine and the salt together and allowing the salt to do its work. And its work is just to break down the cellulose, the fiber, and release those liquids. So tossing it well together. So I'll pass that on to you, Martine. And the next step is going to be to prepare our sauce. And the sauce is absolutely wonderful. Okay, now for the sauce, I'm going to be using a blender. And it can be any kind of blender at all. This is going to be a vegan sauce with no dairy cream at all. And instead, I'll be using some cashews, and these are raw cashew nuts that have been soaked first, so that's going to make them easier to blend into a cream. And here are some pine nuts. And pine nuts are wonderful and rich and kind of buttery, and that's why I'm choosing to use them. Now, the combination of the soaked pine nuts and the soaked cashew nuts are going to create a cream that you can't really identify as cashews or pine, because you're putting two flavors together to become one that really isn't identifiable as either. So that's a really good trick to know when you're making a cream sauce out of nuts. I'm also going to add a little bit of lemon juice because that will help to mask the flavor as well and bring it all together. A tiny bit of agave nectar, and the agave nectar adds a little bit of sweetness, just as dairy lactose in the dairy products is naturally sweet, so we're adding a little bit of natural sweetness. I'm also going to add a little bit of tamari, and the tamari gives it the saltiness and also adds depth of flavor to my sauce. I'm going to add just a touch of white pepper. I like white pepper in this because it permeates it without changing the color, without biting into a piece of pepper. And then another thing that I'm adding is this beautiful mushroom liqueur, which was from the soaking water from our mushrooms. I'm not going to add it all yet. I'm going to just wait and see if we want this much before I add any more. And then the last thing that I'm going to add is what makes this truly special, and that is truffle oil. When we went on our mushroom hunt, Eric Schramm from Mendocino Mushrooms was talking about truffles that grow under the ground, and they send off this pungent, wonderful smell that sends the message to come and pick them. And this has all of those wonderful smells in them. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic, and it gives that mushroom flavor even more depth and just beautiful. So this is my beautiful truffle oil, which is just extra virgin olive oil that has been infused with the truffles, the fresh truffle mushrooms. So that's all there is right now to my cream, and I'm going to blend it up. Okay, and I'm going to add all the rest of that beautiful liquid. I can see now that I can use that. And there we go. So I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to come back. Right now I'm really feeling a need to get powered up by a beautiful fruit smoothie in our cafe downstairs. And I know Martine wants to join me. So we'll be right back, and we'll finish our Linguini Parody.
Come back to join us tomorrow to see the delicious outcome of Chef Cherie Soria's Linguini Parody with Vegan White Truffle Cream. Coming up next is Between Master and Disciples, here on Supreme Master Television. May you always remember the divine in every moment of your life. See you again soon. Visit rawfoodchef.com to learn more about Cherie Soria and the Living Light Culinary Arts Institute.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.